Views expressed by Camaplan podcast guests may not reflect those of Camaplan. Camaplan does not guarantee the accuracy of information provided by guests, nor does it endorse or recommend any individual or organization. Camaplan is not an investment advisor, CPA, realtor, or attorney. You are encouraged to conduct your own due diligence before making investment choices. For any tax, legal, accounting, investment, or other questions, please consult a specialist. Hi, I'm Michael Duncan, and welcome back to The Road to Financial Freedom. This podcast is brought to you by Camaplan, a self-directed IRA administrator focused on educating investors on how to grow retirement savings faster through alternative investments. In each episode, we're going to take an in-depth look at the many roads taken to financial freedom and how they differ for each of our guests. Our goal is to help the listeners learn how they can achieve their own financial freedom through the experience and stories of experts that have done just that. Today's guest is an accomplished e-commerce and tech entrepreneur with 22 years of experience in the industry. His vast background in brand strategy, marketing, and intellectual property enables him to create and manage successful brand IP portfolios. Throughout his career, he has consistently demonstrated a strong and consistent ability to drive growth and profitability for e-commerce businesses. I am very excited to welcome Ronny Shmoel to the show today. Ronny, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Having a great start of the week right after Labor Day.
I am very glad to hear that. I couldn't agree more. Big fan of Labor Day. It's we have a tradition in my family and among our friends. We do cornhole tournaments, and being that I'm out of college now, it's hard to find something to really get that competitive fire going, quite like cornhole.
That's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, it was a pretty restful weekend, and really we're all really excited about Q4. Q4 is our busiest time of the season, and looking forward to being on this podcast. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And I have to be honest, I'm not just saying this to suck up. I am legitimately thrilled to have you here because when I first heard about what you guys were doing, a coworker of mine mentioned it, and we threw out the name Circuit City, and I looked at him very confused, and I said, I was like, it's 2023. What could you possibly be talking about Circuit City? I remember going there a while ago, but not anytime recently. So to start, I think a great way to start is, how did this come about? And also, can you just tell me what Circuit City is now?
It's a great question. Maybe let me tell you about what Circuit City is, and then I can kind of go back in time.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So Circuit City today is a brand that has been relaunched in 2018. We kept all the original bones of Circuit City. If you can think about the branding, the logo, some of the overall strategies of what Circuit City did well. Circuit City in store had sales guided experts that helped you walk you through the product, knew what they were talking about. And that was the one thing that resonated most with me when I used to shop at Circuit City when I was younger. So Circuit City today is an online e-commerce, digital play only. We don't have brick and mortar retail stores. And how do I even get into this? I get this question a lot.
I think it's a fair question.
It's really a big question. And you're right. There, it's like, well, Circuit City's in the public space. It's back in the market. And why are we even doing this? So there has been an enormous amount of brands in the last 10 to 12 years that are tied to either a nostalgia component to it, a great shopping experience, but have been stuck in an old brick and mortar model. And a lot of these retailers really had to close up, unfortunately. But they had a lot of good as well, right? So they had a tremendous online presence, such as Bed Bath & Beyond, that just happened. That's a conversation podcast that needs to be all on its own on that one. But my parents, myself, big Bed Bath & Beyond shoppers, just saw what happened, and Overstock.com just purchased the brand itself and relaunched it digital play only. So there's something to say to relaunching a brand in a modern business model that is for today's time and the future, right? As e-commerce is ever growing at this point, especially after COVID. So yeah, I've been in the e-commerce marketplace technology business and brand business for over 22 years now. I had 4 other e-commerce businesses that I successfully exited. I built them up from scratch, brought on a handful of accredited investors to start. And my most recent one became one of the top 500 e-commerce companies in the US. Within that time, I had the ability to acquire Circuit City off market. And I did it with my own capital. And I was really fortunate, and I feel really humbled to actually be able to acquire a brand that I grew up with. Yeah, it was just a really exciting time. So throughout my other exits, I accumulated wealth, had capital, reinvested it in something that I believed in. And I am where I am today. I'm really, again, very thankful to be at this place. And, through my tenure, I learned a lot, right? I learned how to build businesses, communicate with people, build teams, but also figure out my financial allocation on how I want to invest my money, how I want to think about the future. And all that's really, really important for building wealth and as far as investment side goes. So yeah, through Circuit City, I'll tell you a little bit more about Circuit City now. Relaunched again, 2018. I learned a lot being in the consumer electronic business. So it wasn't just e-commerce, Michael. I was specifically in the consumer electronic business. So, looking at Circuit City being the number one retailer in the country for decades and decades and decades, it was a brand you wanted to emulate. When I used to see circuitcity.com and what they used to do with their shopping experiences online, I was like, I need to be there. I want to be able to be Circuit City one day. And lo and behold, it stayed close to my heart. When they went bankrupt officially in 2009, a very large public company acquired the brand for $17.5 million. Public information. Relaunched it, softly relaunched it online, kept the brand alive until 2015. And a mutual brand vendor introduced us. And listen, Ronnie, I think you're the only one who's going to do something with this brand. You're really passionate about this category, and you're in the right space of e-commerce, and you're doing it really well. And it took me, by the way, Michael, it took me years and years and years to become one of the top 500 e-commerce companies in the US. I mean, e-commerce is changing. It's still ever changing. There's things that Google and all these shopping platforms and funnels of marketing change on a daily basis on us.
Yep.
But, back to Circuit City though, when I had that opportunity to acquire it, it was like I won the lottery. It really was. And then when I had the brand in my hand, and just the brand. So if you think about it, and as an analogy, right, a piece of land, right? So you bought a piece of land on prime property in a prime location, and now you have to architecturally get the plans, get the permits. So that's what we really had to do. So launching Circuit City, we hired brand strategists from scratch, e-commerce strategists, and we had to really figure out where Circuit City needed to be positioned, highly positioned properly in the marketplace. But also, we also looked at the consumer electronic market, and we said, well, where are the white spaces? Where can we compete with Amazon, Best Buy? And Best Buy had a hard time in anywhere between the 2010 range all the way to 2018. They had a tremendous hard time keeping up with Amazon. As Amazon is completely self-service, Best Buy is semi-self-service. We needed to find the gap, and Best Buy is doing a good job. I gotta say, it's really good to have another brand like Circuit City stay alive and do it well. It shows that there's viability in the consumer electronic market. Consumer electronics is the biggest revenue driver for Amazon as far as product category. We set forth to really change on how people shop for consumer electronics online. And since we launched, we've been profitable every year. We've hit over $120 million in revenue collectively over the past 4 years. And we're set for growth. We're actually initiating our $25 million Series A round to grow the company. I haven't brought in outside capital to now, as I really wanted to demonstrate and prove that this is a viable model. And it is, we've seen customers gravitate to a brand that they know. It's about trust, and just really servicing the customer properly.
So when you're looking for this space for you to exist between Amazon and Best Buy, and in a very popular and important market, especially nowadays, where exactly did you find the place for you to exist between those other companies?
It's a great question. We looked at the number one thing, price, right? So price. There's drivers for customers to push them along and convert, and actually purchase something. So if it's a need or want, that's one thing. They have to discover new products. That's another thing. And then having a sales guided, call it a sales guided expert or conversational, um, hand by hand, holding a customer hand by hand to actually check out through the purchase. And what we've learned was Best Buy started following Amazon. They got rid of their 800 number on top of their on their headline of their website.
Yeah.
They got rid of their live chat. You have to go to the help pages to find it now. And we're like, wait, hold on. Everything is going to an automated self-service. Go figure this out by yourself. And you know what, Michael, we're selling complicated products. I got to tell you, home automation. I got to tell you, it took me probably 5 to 6 weeks to even buy my new laptop myself. I had to ask my in-house experts. I had to go online, look for reviews. I had to, and it really has become, let's just buy something. If it works, it works. If not, we'll return it. But you know what? It's frustrating as well. And I found that having a brand like Circuit City and being true to the brand, what the brand meant before to customers. And this is what we do. We put our 800 number prominently on our website. We have live chat. We've even tested out video device setup. So as we're speaking on a podcast, yeah, we will spend time with the consumer, walking them through. Let me set up my new laptop. Let me load in Office. How do I do that? How do I set up my email? And it really becomes, a service model rather than just pushing product and selling product. And we're giving customers a solution, and we're winning there. We have found great success, even on the business side. So how are the businesses divided today? It's broken down into 4 pillars. And we have found the obvious one, direct to consumer, circuitcity.com, being the first launch of that iteration. The next component that we launched was Circuit City for Business. And half of our business is derived today from the business side, which is wonderful. So we nurture and cater and grow with businesses, right? So startups, businesses that are well established, that have 5 to 100 employees. And once they experience the Circuit City business side, I got to tell you, they don't go anywhere else. We really get into depth with them. We have a personal relationship with these businesses. And at that point, they trust us. They don't even check price online. Circuit City is going to give us a fair market price, and it's competitive, and we're happy with that. So we're finding successes in those 2 revenue business models. The third one, which we're probably most excited about, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to introduce this today to your audience. It hasn't been publicly announced yet, but we will see press releases jointly done by our retailer partner network, and I'll explain to you what that means. So we have a new business line model, revenue line item called Powered by Circuit City. And what we found after COVID, retailers are struggling in this category. And I mean big retailers such as Macy's, Kohl's, JCPenney, Lowe's, Home Depot. They sell electronics on the surface level, but they don't do a great job. We have found, so I over the last 2 years, I've spent numerous, in-person meetings with CEOs, CMOs of these companies, and they've all shared a similar story. We're trying to drive traffic in store. We're trying to service our existing customer base. We're trying to find new revenue drivers. And we love the consumer electronic category because really, essentially, Michael, everybody is a consumer electronics shopper. We all have our phones, our devices. We're all connected to the world today. So we're in this category that is probably as important as, buying a sofa or home decor. I got to tell you, we're all glued to our devices today on our phones. We're not able to even do this podcast today without all our devices, right? So how do we do it well? How do we help and find a problem in the market? I think that's what this is about. So I'll explain the derivative of the extension of this new Powered by Circuit City initiative. And we're able to allow a retailer, an existing well-operated retailer, such as a Macy's, utilize a Circuit City brand on the web. So if you hover over on the website and you click on electronics or home electronics, you'll then see a prominently placed logo there of Circuit City. And within that, we, with a retailer, decide which categories fit and match your demographic. So in our vast catalog, our back end database of catalog, we have over 1 million products, but we don't display all those 1 million products on our website because it's just overloaded and flooded, maybe like an Amazon style. It's just too much. We're more of a curated approach. And we want to give customers a clear, concise path to finding the right product. So we just did that. We're launching our first national retailer in October, right in time for Q4. And it's an exciting time where we're able to focus online with the retailer. The retailer handles all the marketing. Our responsibility is to send products over to the retailer's website electronically. We then get the order from the retailer and ship it out directly to the consumer. We also handle the customer service side.
I was going to say, that seems like the big selling point, I would imagine.
So it also, the big selling point is, these retailers have sold electronics again, and they say, look, we're not going to build out a whole department for this one category. It's not our main category. Yeah. We're not even a destination. So if by accident somebody walks in or shops on a Kohl's website and they find a JBL $99, Bluetooth something, headphone or speaker, they may buy it, right? So it also helps them cross-pollinate into other categories. If somebody's buying athletic wear, right, they may end up buying a smartwatch. It just kind of all blends in together. So tech products today are infused with lifestyle, and it really has created a market of a U.S. market alone of the addressable market being over $505 billion in 2023 alone. It's tremendous. Consumer electronics, I mean, you couldn't be in a better category and have a better brand than Circuit City, other than Best Buy. I mean, so, I had the opportunity over the last 2 years. I've been approached by an investment group. I've been approached by a competitor to acquire the brand. And I said to myself, I'm never going to get a brand like this, Michael. This brand is such a halo around the category, and we haven't even started yet, right? Last year alone, our revenues were tipped over of 24 million. So really, my team did a great job. Really proud of that. And this is why we're looking to raise capital now. We're going to raise, a nice round, a healthy round to help us really grow and push this out to being, my goal is to really build out Circuit City into being back to an enterprise value company. So Powered by Circuit City has enormous legs to it. I've already, myself and business development has reached out to other retailers and said, hey, we're launching our first retailer. Here's a presentation. What do you think? Yeah. And the feedback has been enormous. So there's really low lift for us. We really just need to integrate with you. And listen to this. This retailer said to us, we really want you to be in store. So what we're doing is we're bringing in a licensing partner to produce your everyday Circuit City products. So think about buying a generic product, XYZ brand. We're able to give customers a brand on a product at the same price point. And we're bringing in a licensing partner to actually now generate a licensing revenue model for us as well. So it's very profitable. It's a good place to be. We don't have to handle that. We can focus on what is true to us, which is the web, digital, e-commerce. And the third most exciting thereafter, to the fourth pillar we call it, is we're launching the only consumer electronic marketplace in the country. And why that's important for us, we learned from Amazon. Amazon, 60% of their revenue now comes from third-party sellers. Factual, it's enormous. It's again extremely profitable for Amazon. Yeah. But there isn't any third-party marketplace in this category, and that's what we noticed over the last couple of years. There's nobody launching a third-party marketplace. They just don't have that brand awareness as well. And for us, it's really exciting as well because we're able to now onboard qualitative sellers And we found this problem. I'll tell you the biggest problem we found in COVID. We couldn't get enough product, and there was a supply and demand issue in all parts of the world. So think about a MacBook or a Lenovo. There was just a supply issue.
I remember. Yeah.
So we found ourselves into a almost place where we couldn't grow just because of product. We're like, we have the demand, we just can't get anything. Meaning on a regular basis as we would have in the previous or now it has normalized. But even to position the company not to be to be dependent on a vendor of any type, we now can bring in third-party sellers and have vendors and share in that growth together. And we have spoken to a number of sellers and said, if there was a dedicated marketplace other than an Amazon or Walmart.com that has a marketplace that's just not on the higher tech side, we'd love it. We'd love to be prominently placed. We'd love to have call outs and highlights of our brand and products. So it's really exciting again. There's just so much opportunity for us to grow. And, this all leads into why am I doing this? I'm besides building wealth and having a really healthy return on my investment, because my prior ventures, I exited at the time where I felt the business was at a robust stage and it was optimal to exit for myself and investors. And really it's all about building shareholder value on myself. It's really stretching out to the point where this is it. So I felt with Circuit City, it is my biggest venture. I am extremely ecstatic about it. And this journey is it's super exciting. It's a reason to get up in the morning and come to the office,
It's very clear that you're passionate about it, which is always nice to hear from someone that is, that high up in such an established brand and just creating a product. That passion, I think, is what.
Thank you.
It drives it to become better every single day.
Absolutely. You gotta keep a close ear to the news, follow the competitors, and listen to your customers. We really are about what do our customers want. So if I tell you that the retailer on this Powered by Circuit City is a customer, they are a customer essentially, and we have crafted this proprietary almost to us. It doesn't exist in any industry in consumer electronics. Meaning, so we learned this. Toys R Us just relaunched. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, that is the closest that I've ever come to understanding what you've now taught to me very well. This whole brand re-upping and all that kind of stuff. So
and Toys R Us has done the group that acquired Toys R Us has done an enormous job. I met with the owner and they're a licensee to licensor relationship. They are licensing out their brand to Macy's. So it's a little bit of a different model completely. We're on the operating side. We're able to pretty much toggle between different models of revenue, different business units, just because we are controlling the brand other than giving the destiny over to somebody else, and driving it. So I have found that more accretive on the investment side. I'm able to, again, draw revenue up, build out different strategies where I can cater to the customer better.
Yeah. I have to say, as much as I do, also fondly remember visiting, the brick and mortar establishments of Circuit City when I was younger. Given my age, I was going there with my parents, but I do remember it. But it also just makes a ton of sense, the flexibility that it gives you from being primarily online, save for certain things in stores with the Powered by partners. But I think the biggest thing that you said that stuck out to me, which is really something personally that you said it and I'm sold, is the ability to have that 800 number and the live chat. And that's because as these things get more complicated, you'd think that businesses would make it easier to get help on the things that are complicated. But in fact, it's been going in the opposite direction. And that's not only true for consumer electronics, it's true across the board. Banks, really any type of business, they're hiding the ways that you can get them to help. There's automated systems, there's FAQs that they believe are extensive until it's one specific issue. So as someone that has run across that issue